Bradley is a former professional heavyweight boxer with far-right views, a hardcore patriot and a fierce hater of immigrants. He's now barely making ends meet working as a mechanic. One day, he drags in a broken car from a new client, only to be greeted by his boss at the entrance, who asks him to step into the office. Bradley knows what's coming. He refuses, saying, "Don't waste my time, just say it straight." Realizing he's about to be fired, he packs up his things and heads home, devastated. When he pulls up, he spots his wife Lauren sitting in the car, having an emotional phone call. Sensing something's off, he approaches. She looks startled. She wasn't expecting him home so early. Then Bradley notices a hickey on her neck. Struggling to contain his rage, he snatches her purse to check the phone. Terrified, Lauren admits she's been having an affair. Bradley forces her inside and vents his fury on her car, tearing it apart with his bare hands. After all, he is a mechanic. Inside, the couple has a tense heart-to-heart. We learn two things. Years earlier, they lost a baby, which broke them emotionally and pushed them into silence, and both struggled with alcohol abuse. Lauren confesses she suspected Bradley of cheating, since he was often gone at night. But he swears he's been faithful. He was just secretly working side jobs. They regret their mistakes. Bradley suggests starting over and trying for another child. Lauren doubts it will work. She hardly works, and he's now unemployed. But Bradley insists he'll call his old friend Gil. That makes Lauren cry. She doesn't want him back in the drug trade. He promises it's just temporary, only delivery work. A year and a half later, Bradley delivers product to a rundown drug den. Thanks to his discipline and professionalism, he's earned serious connections. After collecting the cash, he climbs into a brand new Ferrari and drives to a secluded spot. There, he strips off the plates, covers the car with camouflage netting, and reports to his boss that the deal went smoothly. Back home, two more Ferraris sit in the driveway, and the house now looks like a mansion. Clearly, business is booming. In the kitchen, he finds Lauren cooking. She's heavily pregnant. Bradley scolds her for handling a knife, but she laughs it off, saying he's being overprotective. He scoops her up in his arms and carries her toward the bedroom, but a phone call interrupts them. Gil urgently summons Bradley. Once there, he tells him their new supplier will be a Mexican cartel. Soon, a representative walks in. Elazar, flanked by two thugs, Roman and Pedro. He announces they'll be riding with Bradley during deliveries. Naturally, Bradley doesn't like it and flat out refuses to work with Roman, but Elazar won't budge. Gil steps in, reminding Bradley that only someone as tough and principled as him can keep these psychos in line. To sweeten the deal, Gil promises Bradley a 3-month paid vacation once his baby is born. Reluctantly, Bradley agrees, but demands that Elazar order his men to obey him without question. Elazar complies with a handshake, and that evening Bradley sets off on a run with his new crew. On the way, he notices Roman packing heat and orders him to drop it. Roman just smirks. So Bradley searches him himself and tosses the gun into the water to avoid trouble. Soon after, they board Gil's boat and head to the drop point. At the buoys, Pedro dives in and retrieves the package from the bottom, but Bradley senses something's wrong. He hurls the bag back into the water and orders the others to do the same. They snap. They beat him down and rush to their car, only to find themselves surrounded by the police. A gunfight breaks out. Bradley wants to run, but his patriotic, stubborn nature won't let him abandon the cops. He steps in, shooting Pedro. Roman fires back with a burst of bullets, but Bradley slips into the water just in time. Moments later, Pedro takes a bullet to the head from an officer. Bradley sneaks up on Roman from behind, shoots him in the shoulder, and knocks him out cold with a few heavy punches. After the chaos, he willingly surrenders to the police. During interrogation, the detective admits he's impressed with Bradley's courage. Body cam footage proves that thanks to him, no officers were killed. But even that won't keep him out of prison. Still, cooperating could lighten his sentence. The detective appeals to Bradley's patriotism and reminds him about his unborn daughter. Bradley refuses to give up his boss's name. He says courier work will get him 4 or 5 years at most, and he's ready to serve the time. Later, Lauren visits him. Bradley asks her not to attend the hearing, not to stress herself out in her condition. He also forbids her from visiting him in prison or bringing their daughter there. He doesn't want the little girl's first memory of her father to be behind bars. "When I get out, I'll explain everything myself," he promises. Lauren swears she won't make mistakes again and vows to wait for him. The judge sentences Bradley to 7 years. Shocked by the injustice, Bradley can only think, so much for helping the cops. Broken, he's transferred to his new home, Franklin James Prison, nicknamed the Freezer. After standing in a long intake line, he turns in his belongings. The clerk orders him to remove his wedding ring. Bradley reluctantly obeys, but shuts the tray window a little too hard. The jumpy guard flinches and, eager to flex his tiny bit of power, orders Bradley to the back of the line to start over. After processing, Bradley is issued a prison uniform and sent to his block. Inmates assigned to orient newcomers explain the rules on the way to his cell. One guard tries to recruit Bradley for the prison boxing club, but he refuses. The guard quickly learns that Bradley used to be a pro boxer. An older inmate shows him to his cell and mentions dinner time. Bradley, in no mood, says he'll skip it. The man hands him a snack bar and says, "Plenty of guys skip their first prison meal, but around 2 or 3 in the morning, you'll wish you hadn't." Left alone, Bradley vents his frustration the only way he knows how. 7 damn years. That night, during roll call, a guard hassles him again for being late and reminds him about the boxing club. Bradley stays calm, steady as a tank, not taking him seriously. Meanwhile, intruders break into his home. Lauren wakes up just in time to grab a gun, but they take her down with tranquilizers. The next morning, Bradley is summoned by his case manager. She informs him that his wife's doctor reached out, Lauren is having complications, and the physician needs to speak with him. Bradley, furious and on edge, waits for the meeting. Escorted by a guard, who once again tries to convince him to join the boxing club, Bradley enters the visitation room. Inside, he meets a stranger named Todd. Todd tells him that because of his betrayal, Eliezer lost $3 million, and now Bradley has to pay the price. Todd shows him a photo of Lauren tied up and threatens him. They have a Korean doctor who can do horrifying things, like cutting off body parts while keeping the baby alive. To stop that from happening, Bradley must kill a man named Christopher Bridge, locked in Red Leaf Maximum Security Prison, Block 99. Bradley objects. His charge for drug trafficking won't get him anywhere near maximum security. But Todd, the gray-haired messenger, tells him to be creative. Otherwise, they'll start with his baby's limbs. On the way back to his cell, Bradley realizes he has no time to waste. He attacks the guard who kept pestering him about boxing. A brutal fight erupts. Bradley's experience overwhelms the officer, and in the end, he shatters the man's arm. The commotion draws reinforcements, and Bradley surrenders without resistance. Listening carefully, he realizes that the fight will only get him transferred to a lower level. Not enough. So, he pushes further, provoking a brawl with the escort guards. In the chaos, one officer accidentally knocks out his own partner with a blow to the back of the head. After taking a hit from a stun gun, Bradley finally gets what he wanted, a transfer to Red Leaf, a maximum security prison. Upon arrival, he's greeted by armed guards led by the warden. The man coldly lays out the brutal rules and orders Bradley to throw his belongings on the ground, including his wedding ring. With a smirk, the warden brags that his men are far tougher than the weaklings back at the freezer. Then, as a show of dominance, Bradley is subjected to a humiliating strip search, right there in the yard before being dumped into the filthiest cell available. The stench from a clogged toilet nearly makes him gag. Guards tell him that if he behaves, he might be moved in 2 weeks. Bradley covers his face with his shirt and tries to sleep, but soon he's dragged out for yard time. Out in the yard, he meets another inmate who explains, Block 99 is a hellhole, completely cut off from the rest of the prison, reserved for psychos and lost causes. Bradley knows it's time to act. He approaches a group of Mexicans and provokes them into a fight. The giant heavyweight demolishes them with ease, their sticks useless against him. Another funny moment. One of the NPCs accidentally knocks out his own teammate with a hit to the back of the head. The brawl is cut short by a burst of automatic fire from the guard tower. Guards flood the yard, but Bradley meets them with vicious brutality, breaking bones and shattering an officer's arm before the cold barrel of a revolver finally cools him down. At last, they drag him deeper into Block 99, a bag over his head. They drag Bradley down a staircase into a dark basement. There, guards strap a heavy shock belt around his waist. The warden demonstrates its power. Bradley collapses to his knees. Then the rules are laid out. Every violation earns points. His last fight cost him 25. Each point equals 1 electric jolt, delivered whenever they please. He's thrown into a cell with shattered glass covering the floor. Another surge drops him right onto the shards. Through the small slot in the door, he calls out for Christopher Bridge. But a voice answers, "There's no one here by that name." Another shock cuts the talk short. Guards drag him out into the hallway and torture him with the belt again. Then they say, "Your friends want to see you." At the end of the corridor, Bradley is escorted into a spacious cell, Elazar's. The cartel man has been caught by the feds and locked away, but now he blames Bradley for everything. The millions he lost and the death of Pedro, his sister's husband. "Because of you, my sister's a widow," he roars. The guards hand Elazar the remote for the shock belt, asking only that he not kill Bradley today. One after another, the thugs beat and electrocute him for sport. Elazar shows him a photo of Lauren and threatens that if Bradley dares to touch any of them, their doctor will carve her up. Then they knock him out cold. When Bradley wakes in his cell, he finds a way to fight back. He rips the sole from his boot and wedges it between his body and the electrodes, a makeshift insulator. A mechanic should know a thing or two about electricity. When the guards drag him out into the hallway again, Bradley fakes the pain. The moment they drop their guard, he strikes, disarming them and beating them down with ruthless precision while demanding the keys to his chains. In the struggle, one guard ends up dead, and Bradley locks the other inside a cage. Meanwhile, in Elazar's cell, one of his men works a punching bag. Bradley walks in. A cocky thug steps forward, but Bradley drops him with a single punch, then smashes his face against the floor like rubber on asphalt. Even Elazar's crew stare in shock at the brutality. Two more enforcers rush him, but are quickly dispatched. Elazar calls his assistant, ordering the surgery to begin if he doesn't call back within 10 minutes. Bradley crushes his attackers and stomps their heads. Elazar tries to bargain, but Bradley breaks his legs and forces him to call it off. When he still resists, Bradley drags him into a cage filled with depraved inmates. Finally, Elazar caves. He calls his assistant and orders him to release Lauren and deliver her to Gil. Bradley shoves him into the same cage as the guard he'd captured. Just then, the warden and his men storm into the block. Bradley warns them, if they try to break in, he'll kill his two hostages. He just needs one phone call. After that, he'll surrender. Meanwhile, Elazar's assistant and the doctor bring Lauren to Gil, but Gil pulls a hidden rifle and kills the assistant. Lauren seizes the weapon and personally guns down the fleeing doctor. Gil calls Bradley. "It's over. Your family's safe." He hands the phone to Lauren, who asks if Bradley wants to say something to their daughter. Bradley tells her to grow up smart and strong. Lauren smiles through tears. The baby just kicked. Bradley can't hold back his own tears. He says goodbye, then smashes the phone. Turning to the warden, he reminds him of his promised minute. In that time, Bradley shoves Elazar's head into the toilet and crushes it with his boot like a guillotine. A minute later, the guards burst in. The warden orders Bradley to turn around with his hands up, then opens fire, executing him on the spot. And that's where the movie ends. Now, let's see how many comments we get about the Ferrari.